And I would like to call budget and appropriations to order at 6:15. Mr. Kovas, would you mind just taking some quick notes for me?
No problem.
All right. So I actually only have two motions that I'm going to vote out tonight. Mr. Waterman, thanks for joining. Hope all is well. Initially, what I wanted to do was kind of vote out the motions that came down in the mayor's communication last week. I spoke with President Cooper, and as much as that would make it efficient, I think what we're going to do this year, because we want to make sure that, one, if there's discussion, that it's that we have enough time for it to happen, that it's, you know, an appropriate time should probably be with the public hearing, which we're going to be calling for a public hearing on June 8th for the budget. Todd, I don't know if you had a chance to pick up your budget book or budget binder this year.
Yes, I'll say, got it.
Perfect. You know, I've got to give it to the mayor and the administration. I mean, this is a tough budget. It was a tough year. Looking at, you know, a $153 million budget, almost $154,000 budget. It's a big budget this year. A lot of challenges, as we know. There's still a lot of unknowns as we saw last year, but I think we're in better shape than initially thought that we would be. But as we know, we have 45 days from last Tuesday night to vote that out. My goal is to have this budget voted by June 15th. So that'll give us just, you know, right around the 29 days, which is what we've done. I want to circle the 15th on the calendar. I'll probably call for a special meeting, for a committee meeting on the 16th, just in case anything should happen. We want to make sure that we give Deb Gould enough time and the finance team to do enough time to be able to get everything into the state on time. Any questions on anything related to what we've talked about so far? I'll get into the schedule in 1 minute.
So yeah, I have questions about the schedule, but if you're going to talk more about that, I was just questioning the 15th date. So June 19th is our drop dead date for 45 days. What is June 19th?
So give me 1 second here. So we got that on the 11th. So you know, realistically,
just so I can record everything
down.
No,
I got that. Our drop dead date essentially is the 25th, I believe, right? So we're going to have the public hearing on the 8th. Then the next regular meeting is the 15th. So the 15th, if we plan to vote the budget on the 15th, that gives us time in case anything happens, in case there's a discrepancy with the numbers, in case there's any shenanigans, politics, anything that might go into it that we've seen in the past. One thing that I think this council and the previous council has done very, very well, and I'd like to see it continue, is we've been very efficient and very prudent with the delivery of the budget, working with the administration, working with Deb Gould, working with the department heads. It's not a lot of fat in this budget, you know. I think the mayor was spot on last week when he said, look, I don't know you have one department head who sat there and said, this is really, really great, you know. Let's see, I need a committee meeting. So I'll probably call, you know, and then, so let's just go into the schedule for the committee hearings, right? Initially, I said I wanted to do them on May 22nd, which would have been this Saturday. Is it this Saturday? Yeah, this Saturday, and then June 5th. When I initially talked to Jeremy, he was on board with it, said him and the mayor were on board with it. I spoke with him end of April, beginning of May, and he said he was getting pushback from the department heads. And I said, well, you know, I had talked to some department heads and they wanted Saturdays. There were a couple that said, wow, this is great. You know, I can do it Zoom and it's a 45 minutes and I don't have to, you know, work a full day and then go in. But then I guess there was an email circulated from Jeremy saying that he was never on board with it and some of the other department heads. So in the spirit of collaboration and making sure that we're working with the department heads, because we want to be fair to them. It's their budget, it's their opportunity to get in front of us. Virginia and I kind of looked at the schedule, and Virginia, Mark Cooper, and I talked about doing the committee meetings Monday, June 7th, Wednesday, the 9th, Thursday, the 10th, and I think we're going to add 2 on the 8th. These will start at 5:30, which I know is tough times, but we just want to get through this budget as quickly as we can, as efficiently as we can, giving ourselves enough time that should something come up, we're able to handle it. Todd?
So did you say the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So that'll be a
Not
busy week.
ideal, not what the committee originally planned, but, you know, in the full spirit of compromise and, you know, working with everyone, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Okay.
You know,
If we are meeting
quick
sort of
collaboration.
every day that week, if we could try to keep them to starting at 6 p.m. and
The
or
only issue with that, Todd, we're keeping it 5:30 just to get the ball
department
rolling.
heads.
Yeah, get the department heads. And look, Todd, the
Okay,
reality is if
fair
you
enough.
can get there till 6, you know, as
I'll
long
get
as,
there when I can. Yep.
all right, yeah, and as long as Richard's here, or we have someone who, such as Kate or Mark or
Mark.
Peter, who can be our second, we'll be in good shape if Richard's not there.
And
Again,
I
not
will,
ideal.
if I have questions and I know I have work meetings, so that I might be running late, I will send those questions into Virginia
Perfect.
to get to you.
Perfect.
Okay.
You know, and then, you know, we'll figure out, because we'll probably, I'll work with Mark on when we'll vote that budget out. It'll probably be the week of the 15th, and could be a special meeting. I hope not, but we've just got to figure out everything, you know, with just, we had the 11th, and then there's a lot of other things going on. We wanted to give enough time to the department heads to prep. We wanted to give enough time for Deb to prep, because Deb has to prep the revolving funds. I wanted the council to have enough time to absorb the budget to get their, get the questions into Virginia. So it's a little, and we've done this the last 3 years, and it's been very efficient that way. Any other questions on the schedule itself? Discussion, anything? Like I said, it's certainly not ideal, but I think we're in good shape. You know, so the 8th, I believe, is a committee meeting. Let me see. Let me just check the calendar again. Tonight's the 18th. Committee, full meeting. The 8th is a committee meeting. So we can vote the budget realistically on the 15th. There just may be a need for, and actually, Virginia, I'm going to call for a budget hearing, budget meeting at 6 o'clock on the 14th. That's a Monday night. This way here, if anything else should pop, we can address it before we vote it out. Also, you know, I'm going to do what I did last year, which is work on the budget message, send it out through Virginia to the council to just kind of get their thoughts, and then we'll probably just vote the budget message out of committee on the 14th, and then have everything ready to go on the 15th. Virginia.
Mr. Jones pointed out to me earlier that if, as of June 15th, the Zoom is going to be in question. Obviously, when we adopted the CMR, some people can do it, some people cannot. Yeah. So the question was whether the 15th will be in person or not.
Yeah, I think if that's the case, everything leading up to the 15th, where that is the sunset of the state of emergency, everything up until the 14th, and even that 14th meeting, we'll do and plan on doing Zoom. And if we have to do it in person on the 15th, great. Love to see you all in person. But it'd be real nice if we had everything kind of wrapped up, buckled up by the 15th, in case anything should happen. And we've seen that before. That would give us, there's 5 meetings in June. There's 5 Tuesdays in June. So, but would still give us a couple meetings and plenty of time if we needed to call a special hearing to kind of weed through anything. Councilor Waterman, do you have any questions, concerns while you're here? I'd love to get any input you might have. Should we tell him he's on mute or just? You're muted, my friend. You're on mute.
It's very logical to me.
Okay.
Saturdays aren't gonna be good for everybody, so I think Monday through Thursday, that'll give us momentum.
Yeah, I agree.
And I agree with you that it's a very carefully crafted budget and nobody's gonna be overly happy, but it's the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the other thing, having a majority of the meetings on off nights. We used to do the meetings we'd do 3 meetings over a course of 3 or 4 weeks. And it's, to your point, Ty, the momentum is key. And
Yeah.
being able to just do it on off nights where we're not focusing about, okay, I have this coming out, or, okay, this controversial vote's coming out. It puts us in a situation where we can hear and listen directly to the department heads and understand what they're saying. So I think it's all good when we look at it from that vantage point.
The only question that might arise, and I don't have any idea, is what kind of other business are we gonna have that could be quite time consuming? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, Ty, and that's a valid point, but I think at the end of the day, the most critical things that this council does is budget, tax classification, and CIP. So I think this time of year, all the department heads and, emergencies happen, we get that. But historically, just having the discussions in May, like we're having now, heading into June, and, look, we could even realistically start the budget messaging early June and get that all, if we have a budget message ready to go the week of the hearings, we'll have hearings that go shorter than what we've got them scheduled for. We can be really efficient. And, my goal is to have the budget voted out on the 14th out of committee, ready to go to 15th, and we're just rocking and rolling.
It's fine with me.
All right.
Yep.
Todd, thoughts on that whole?
I think we're good. And
I'm sorry.
I think we're good. I've got the minutes all updated.
Perfect.
Ready to go.
It's going to be a gauntlet for a week and a half. Well, really just a week. But once we get through that week, we're going to be in really good shape. All right. I saw Councilor DeSimone join. Good afternoon. Good evening. Thanks for joining.
Hi, Jay. Thank you. I came a little bit late. My apologies.
That's all right. We still like you.
Thank you.
So
So far, so good.
I don't know how much you heard. Initially, we were going to do 2 Saturdays for the budget hearings, got some pushback, some feedback in the spirit of true collaboration, working with the department heads to get the week of June 7th. We'll go 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and then meeting on the 14th. Those hearings will start at 5:30. We have 2 weeks before those meetings start. So what I would ask is that if there are pertinent questions, concerns that you have, send them through to Virginia, and then we'll start working on those. I'm meeting with Deb Gould at some point tomorrow. We're just going to get everything ready to go. So I really want this to be as turnkey as possible and give people enough time to absorb the budget in a really challenging year, get the questions asked, so we're ready to go.
I appreciate that. I see Virginia just sent out the 7th to the 10th. Is there another attachment, Virginia, for Jay mentioned the 14th? Is that a separate thing?
I literally just.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Before here tonight.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for this, V.
Yep. So you took my thunder a little bit, but I just wanted to take a minute and thank my good friend Virginia, who really has been running point with me on the schedule, and she's been dealing with the department heads and fielding the calls and putting together really the schedule. We sent out the dates with a kind of return. We sent them out in April, and we said, hey, let's get these dates back by May 7th. It's going to be a first come, first serve for the most part. And Virginia's really been critical. So really can't thank you enough, having the eyes on glass to make sure that we're in a position now where I think that we'll have it, like I said, as close to turnkey as a budget can be. Now
Now that you've said all those lovely things, I have a little wrench.
I gotta go. I'm out. I'll for a drink now. I'm just kidding.
I am leaving town and I'll be leaving Saturday and I won't return till Memorial Day.
Good
So
for you.
Yeah, huh? If any of these people want things to go through, I don't know if they want, Mark wants it or Steve wants it, but you should be a second person on any emails going to me. I'm sure they'll get feedback that says Virginia's out of the office, but just so you,
Yeah, you, Mark, and I can take that offline and figure out what he wants and what he thinks is best.
Great. Thank you.
'Cause I mean, yeah, we can figure that out. If I need to step in, that's fine.
Mhm.
Awesome. All right. But no, Virginia, seriously, I really want to thank you for everything, especially yesterday and today. You're the best. It's up to a bottle of Pinot. All right. From the docket of May 18th, 2021, I entertain a motion to approve the request of the mayor to return the balance of unused project funds in the amount of $17,918.71 to the Sidewalk Stabilization Fund for further future appropriation by appropriating $17,918.71 from account 2702-599000 Sidewalk Fund other financing uses to account 850649900 Sidewalk Stabilization Fund, other financing sources.
Second.
Thank you, Todd. Any questions on that, Todd?
None.
It's pretty straightforward. It's about as straightforward as we're gonna get on this. It's a project that wasn't used. Let me see. Sorry, I had it on the page. Trying to read my notes. So we appropriated $130,000 from the Special Purpose Stabilization Fund 2702 as part of the Mendon Road sidewalk project. This vote was July 18th of 2019, included $4,621.21 from DPU TNC Fund 2515. The 17,918 71 is what's left over from the project, and it's just going back into the Special Purpose Stabilization Fund. All right, if there's no further questions, thoughts, concerns, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 2-0. This one's going to be very controversial, very long, so buckle up. I'm just kidding. It's actually just calling for a public hearing for the budget. So from the docket of June 1st, 2021, I entertain a motion to call for a public hearing on June 8th, 2021 regarding the City of Attleboro's general government annual budget for fiscal 2020.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're voting. Got it.
Yeah. Well, if there's discussion, there's usually not on the
Nope.
public hearing. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 2-0. And that being said, I would call for an adjournment at 6:33 in the PM.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned at 6:33.
Got it.
Thanks, everyone.
Question,
Aye.
you have to call a public hearing for the water wastewater one as well?
I'd like to call
Sorry.
budget and appropriations back to order at 6:33 PM. Two more pieces of business have arisen. I entertain a motion to call for a public hearing on June 8th, 2021 regarding the City of Attleboro's wastewater annual budget for fiscal 2022. Todd, can I get a second?
Sorry, I muted. Second.
Thank you. This is for the wastewater, and we'll do one for water next. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes 2-0. Finally, from the docket of June 1st, 2021, I entertain a motion to call for a public hearing on June 8th, 2021 regarding the City of Attleboro's Water Department annual budget for fiscal year 2022.
Second.
Thank you, Todd. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes, and this time I really mean it. I'm calling for an adjournment at 6:34.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Hi, Steve. Nice to see you.
Nice to be seen. How are you?
Very well. How are you holding up?
Good. Very good. Can't complain.
Good.
How about you?
Good. Loving the weather.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, President Cooper.
Hello. I'd like to call this meeting of the Municipal Council to order at 7:02. Mr. Withers, would you kindly take a roll call attendance, please?
Sure. If you're here, indicate by saying here. Mr. Blair. Ms. DeSimone.
Here.
Mr. Conti.
Present.
Mr. Waterman.
Here.
Vice President Jackson.
Here.
Mr. Delisio.
Here.
Mr. Cobus.
Here.
Mrs. Dolan.
Here.
Ms. Reynolds. Ms. Reynolds. No. Ms. Holmes. Ms. Holmes. Ms.
Diane,
Holmes.
I just saw her on here.
she's
I see
on.
her. Yeah, I
She's
see her.
muted.
Oh.
Okay.
I don't know why I didn't see her.
President Cooper.
Here.
So it appears that Mr. Blair and Ms. Reynolds are not here.
Yes.
Okay.
9 present,
2 absent.
2 absent. I believe Council Reynolds will be joining a few minutes late.
Okay.
At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of, as soon as I find it, April, wait a minute, 20th, I think it is.
Second.
April 2nd. Oh yeah, I got it written down here. Just follow my notes. April 2nd.
April 20th.
It's the 20th.
Second.
Right?
April
20th.
20th. Yeah.
Yeah, April 20th, 21.
Second.
Council Jackson, thank you. Any questions or concern? None, a roll call vote will begin with Councilor DeSimone.
Ms. DeSimone.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Vice President Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Delisio.
Yes.
Mr. Cobus.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes. Ms. Holmes. You're muted, Diana.
Looks like,
Sorry, I
um,
can hear you now and I'm not muted. Sorry about that last time. Yes.
All right. And President Cooper.
Yes,
9 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. Motion passes. At this time, Mr. Withers, would you read the public hearing notice for the first public hearing this evening?
Certainly. It's a public hearing to amend revised ordinances for the city of Attleboro. 10-7.1 automated parking fee collection device fees. Amended 12/21/2004. Document available for review at the city council or clerk's office at 77 Park Street during regular business hours.
Thank you. On the, initially to speak in favor of this change, Jeremy, the Budget and Administration Director, is here, so he can give us a very quick overview. We read the notice and the reason for the change provided in the mayor's communication, but Jeremy did reach out today and asked if I thought it would be valuable to have him come, so I asked him to do that. I think it will be brief, but Jeremy, if you want to give us a quick overview, counselors can ask any questions. I think that'd be a great place to start.
Yeah, certainly. Thank you for having me tonight, President Cooper, on the Municipal Council. I will be quite brief. Our off-street meter fees were last changed in 2004, and the cost of maintaining the lots, enforcing parking regulations, paying for internet service and electricity, and overseeing the parking program itself has increased quite a bit since 2004. So I'm proposing moving from 40 cents an hour to 75 cents an hour. I will note that our parking machines do not give change. So anecdotally, I know of a number of occasions where folks will put in $1 and stay for, an hour or so and not get changed. So I don't think this change is going to, nearly double our off-street meter parking revenue. I think it will just kind of bring us in line regionally, and we'll see some marginal revenue increases on the edges. So I don't expect a large impact to budget. I don't expect a large impact to citizens and how they move around downtown. But 40 cents anchored in 2004, it's time for the city to move that to 75 cents an hour.
Thank you. Any questions for Jeremy at this time? Jeremy, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here to speak in favor? Is there anyone to speak neither for nor in opposition? Anyone to speak in opposition? I don't see anybody else on. So anyone else, anyone here neither for nor against? Seeing none, whose committee is this?
I think it's
Oh, yes. Council Holmes, do you see any reason to keep this public hearing open?
I do not.
That public hearing is closed. Thank you. Moving.
Thank you all.
Thanks again, Jeremy. On to the mayor's communication.
May 18th, 2021. Dear municipal councilors, I respectfully submit a communication from Superintendent of Public Works, Michael Tyler, regarding the need for funds to make repairs to roadways and sidewalks due to water breaks and other needed patchwork. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body appropriate $33,345 from account undesignated fund balance free cash general government to the following: $30,145 to account public works trench repairs, $3,200 to public works sidewalk repair.
Public Works Committee, please.
I am requesting that your honorable body move $400,000 from free cash to stabilization. In early 2018, then Budget Director Barry Lacasse presented an idea that we use free cash to pay for $1.2 million in two expenses as a way to reduce the amount taxpayers would borrow by $1.2 million in our debt exclusion. This $1.2 million in free cash was going to pay for the movement of the CTE equipment to the new high school and asbestos removal in the existing high school, which is supposed to happen before the demolition so that the asbestos particles do not contaminate the neighborhood's air. These are listed on the 3011 sheet itemizing expenses for the new high school. City Auditor Deborah Gould recommended that I not annually roll that money over from certified free cash to certified free cash, but that we put it in a city stabilization account, as future certifications may not prove sufficient to set aside internally. Therefore, I am asking you that you move $400,000, partially funded by interest earned on borrowing for the high school project, to the city's stabilization fund for later use to pay for the movement of the CTE equipment and the asbestos removal in the existing high school. Excuse me. Please note that this will require an appropriation request in the future from the stabilization fund. This payment is the second of three planned $400,000 contributions that will total $1.2 million. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body appropriate $400,000 from account undesignated fund balance free cash general government to account citywide stabilization fund. In order for this funding source to be available for this request, a vote needs to be taken by June 30th, 2021.
Capital Improvements and City Development Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Director of Veteran Services, Ben Quell, regarding the donation of $50 in Stop and Shop gift cards from Joe Ann Wright. In accordance with Section 1-12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro, I hereby request that your honorable body accept this generous donation to the City of Attleboro. Copies in your packets.
Personnel Veterans Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Director of Planning and Development, Gary Rajan, recommending that the city accept a land donation on Collins Street, Plat 20, Lot 401, from attorney George I. Spatcher Jr. on behalf of Mr. Antoine Chidiak. The subject property contains a land area of 4.3 plus or minus acres and is zoned single resident B and industrial. It should be noted that the real estate taxes are current through the end of the fiscal year 2021. Copies in your packets. In order to be able to record the deed for the end of the fiscal year 2021 deadline, I hereby request your honorable body to consider this prior to June 30th, 2021.
Steve, we're
Going
going
to read the rest of it?
No, we're going to waive the reading of the certificate.
Okay.
That is Zoning and Land Use Committee, please.
Okay. In order to properly budget and account for wages earned through June 30th, it is necessary to fund the accrued payroll, which historically has been referred to as the 53rd pay week. Therefore, in order to provide sufficient funding for the accrued payroll, I respectfully request your honorable body to transfer $104,530 from account Citywide Reserve Fund for Compensation 53rd week to accounts as follows.
Steve, we can waive those too unless anybody objects.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a total of $104,530. Now
That's going to the
Budget Appropriations Committee, please.
additional funding is needed in the retrofit account to pay the online bill payments for 95 Pine Street for the remainder of the fiscal year. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body transfer $1,473.91 from account Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account Citywide Retrofit. Upon approval, the available balance of Reserve Fund for transfer to include any pending requests will be $28,253.16.
City Property and Claims Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from City Treasurer Laura Gignac regarding the need for funds to cover the cost of additional banking services expenses for the remainder of fiscal year 2021. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body transfer $2,700 from account Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account Treasurer Banking Services. Upon approval, the available balance in the Reserve Fund for transfer to include any pending requests will be $25,553.16. Copies in your packets.
Budget and Appropriations Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Chief of Police Kyle P. Hegney regarding the need for funds to purchase and install workstations and chairs in the report room. The current tables and chairs donated in 2008 by the U.S. Navy have served their useful life. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body transfer $9,056.95 from account Police Court Time to account Police Professional Services. Copies in your packets.
Public Safety Emergency Management Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Director of Veteran Services, Ben Quell, regarding the need for funds to purchase a scanner for the Veterans Office. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body transfer $550 from account Veterans Parades to account Veterans Office Supplies. Copies in your packets.
Personnel, Veterans, and Human Services Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Library Director Amy Rillinger regarding the grant from the National Endowment for the Arts to the City of Attleboro for the community-wide Big Read program of approximately $20,000. In accordance with Chapter 1, Section 12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro, I hereby request your honorable body to approve the expenditure of such funds and any other further grant amendments received by the Attleboro Public Library, to support the Big Read program activities as authorized by the granting authority. Copies of this year's selection will be provided once the title can be announced. The public distribution and events are scheduled to begin in September. Copies in your packets.
Personnel, Veterans, and Human Services Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Economic Development Director Catherine Furyk regarding the receipt of the Mass Development TDI local grant in the amount of $35,000 to launch a small business signage program. CoSign. The CoSign program will provide eligible downtown Attleboro businesses the opportunity to receive a new storefront sign at no cost, though they will be responsible for the installation and any lighting they may choose to incorporate into the design. As a match for this grant, I'm requesting a waiver of sign permitting fees for participating businesses as required under Section 17-16.5 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro. The electrical permit fees will still apply to any businesses seeking to light their signs. In accordance with Chapter 1, Section 12 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro, I hereby request your honorable body approve expending of such funds and any future grant amendments. Additionally, I hereby request your honorable body to waive the sign permitting fees as required under Section 17-16.5 of the revised ordinances of the City of Attleboro. Copies in your packets.
Zoning and Land Use Committee, please.
In order to properly budget and account for wages earned through June 30th, it is necessary to fund accrued payroll, which has historically been referred to as a 53rd pay week. Therefore, in order to provide sufficient funding for the accrued payroll, I respectfully request your honorable body to transfer $20,743.05 from water reserve for 53rd week to water salary.
Hold on 1 second, Steve. I might have made a
Okay.
boo-boo there. Yeah, so that's Budget and Appropriations Committee too. I think I might have told you when I talked to Virginia, a different committee, but that should.
Right, you did, yeah. Okay. In order to properly budget and account for wages earned through June 30th, it is necessary to fund the accrued payroll, which historically has been referred to as a 53rd pay week. Therefore, in order to provide sufficient funding for the accrued payroll, I respectfully request your honorable body to transfer $26,804.62 from wastewater reserve fund for 53rd week to wastewater salary.
Again, the same Budget and Appropriations, and I know I told you, Virginia, but that's Budget and Appropriations Committee, please.
Yep. I respectfully submit a communication from Director of Planning and Development, Gary Arazian, recommending that the city accept a land donation located off Augsburg Drive, Plat 136, lot number 5YY, from attorney Edward J. Casey on behalf of Viridian Development LLC. The subject property contains a land area of 28 plus or minus acres in the zone single resident D. I'm sorry. It should be noted that the real estate taxes are current through the end of fiscal year 2021. Copies in your packets. In order to be able to record the deed for the end of fiscal year 2021 deadline, I hereby request your honorable body to consider this prior to June 30th, 2021. So, do you want me to continue or stop there?
You can stop there. And that, again, Zoning and Land Use Committee.
Okay. I respectfully submit a communication from the Director of Planning and Development, Gary Arazian, recommending the city real estate located off Riverbank Road, Plat 41, lot number 102C1 from Alviti Realty Company, Inc. The subject property contains a landmass of 4.4 plus or minus acres in the zoned general residence C. It should be noted that the real estate taxes are current through the end of fiscal year 2021. Copies in your packets. In order to be able to record the deed for the end of fiscal year 2021, I hereby request your honorable body to consider this prior to June 30th, 2021.
Again, we can waive the reading of that, and that will also go to Zoning and Land Use Committee, please.
Okay. I respectfully submit a communication from Director of Planning and Development, Gary Arazian, regarding the need for funds for a feasibility study of the infrastructure system for Mechanics Pond Dam and Dike. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body transfer $23,300 from account Citywide Reserve Fund for transfer to account Planning and Land Use Professional Services. Upon approval, the available balance in Reserve Fund for transfer to include any pending request will be $2,253.16. Copies in your packets.
Capital Improvements and City Development.
I respectfully submit a communication from Director of Budget and Administration, Jeremy Stoll, regarding the need for additional funding for the design portion of the fire department roof replacement project. Excuse me. The funds are needed to execute a design contract to keep pace with our schedule to complete the project in calendar year 2021. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body appropriate $15,000 from account undesignated fund balance free cash general government to fund 3558 fire department roofs. Copies in your package. Therefore, in accordance with Article 2, Section 2-9B of the City Charter of the City of Attleboro, I respectfully request your honorable body to consider this an emergency measure. Copies in your packets.
Capital Improvements and City Development Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Director of Budget and Administration, Jeremy Stoll, regarding the need to fund the construction portion of the contract for the fire department roof replacement before the next certification of free cash, so we can execute a construction contract in late summer for a fall mobilization. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body appropriate $500,000 from account undesignated fund balance free cash general government to fund 3558 fire department roofs. Copies in your packets. In order for this funding source to be available for this request, a vote needs to be taken by June 30th, 2021.
Capital Improvements and City Development Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Chief of Police Kyle P. Hegney regarding the need for funds to purchase police technology equipment and technology software to support operational needs of the department. The items needed include telephone recording equipment and software, associated evidence room processing equipment, and an automated fingerprint system. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body appropriate $80,257 from account undesignated fund balance free cash general government to fund 3559 police technology. Copies in your package. In order for this funding source to be available for this request, a vote needs to be taken by June 30th, 2021.
Public Safety Committee, please.
Okay. I respectfully submit it for confirmation by your honorable body the appointment of Samira Ramos, 40 Orange Street, to fill an unexpired term on the licensing board. Term to expire February 2023. Copies in your packets.
Personnel, Veterans, and Human Services Committee, please.
I respectfully submit a communication from Director of Budget and Administration, Jeremy Stoll, regarding the need for funds for a public safety needs assessment and feasibility study. Therefore, I hereby request your honorable body appropriate $200,000 from account undesignated fund balance free cash general government to fund 3560 public safety assessment feasibility. Copies in your packet. In order for this funding source to be available for this request, a vote needs to be taken by June 30th, 2021.
Capital Improvements and City Development Committee, please.
Sincerely, Paul Haroon, Mayor.
Thank you. The clerk's communication.
Okay.
That I didn't print, so I don't know what I talked about the committee, Steve, but you can read them right off of there as you read them into the record.
Yep. We have a National Grid Verizon request to move a pole and install another at West Street and Rockland Avenue. This requires a public hearing, June 15th, 2021.
Public Works Committee, please. And Council Jackson, would you like to have a public hearing at that time?
On June 15th, I would. Thank you, Council
6:50.
President.
Thank you. Steve will need a roll call vote, beginning with Council Holmes on the public hearing.
Okay. Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds, you here?
Yes.
And Steve, I'm sorry to interrupt the vote. The record should reflect Councilor Reynolds joined at approximately 7:15.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Mr. Kobus.
Yes.
Mr. Delissio.
Yes.
Vice President Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone.
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes,
10 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. Motion passes.
Okay, we also have a National Grid request to install 2 heavy-duty hand poles and 2 to 4 inch of conduit from pole 730 to pole 732 at Highland Avenue. A public hearing is required and suggested on June 15th, 2021.
Thank you. Again, Vice President Jackson, would you like to hold a public hearing on 6:15?
Yes, I would.
Thank you. A roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Councilor DeSimone.
Ms. DeSimone.
Yes.
Mr. Conti.
Yes.
Mr. Waterman.
Yes.
Vice President Jackson.
Yes.
Mr. Delissio.
Yes.
Mr. Kobus.
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes.
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes,
10 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. Motion passes.
We received a letter and backup information asking for assistance with 100% auto at 21 Washington Street in their lemon law violations.
License Committee, please.
And received a communication from Veteran Service Officer Ben Quell inviting the council to participate in the recorded Memorial Day program / video being filmed by AACS.
Personnel, Veterans, and Human Services Committee, but actually copy to all councilors. That doesn't need to go to a committee.
Yep.
Thank you.
That's it.
I can see your lips moving, Councilor Dolan, but you're muted.
Well, I was kind of talking to myself. Anyway, I'd just like to ask Virginia for the backup for that 100% auto, please, because in the email, it just had the communication. It didn't have any backup, and I don't have it here. So I just wanted to ask before I forgot, please, Virginia. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. And at this time, I entertain a motion to enter committee of the whole.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any questions? Oh no, let's vote first. How about that? Roll call vote will begin with Council Holmes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds, I'm sorry,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes. We are now operating in committee of the whole. If there's anybody that would like to bring any matter of city business before the council, now's the time to do so. I don't see anybody. So at this time, I'd entertain a motion to arise.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. A roll call vote will begin with Councilor DeSimone.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes. We are now moving on to committee reports, and we'll begin with Councilor DeSimone.
Thank you, President Cooper. Traffic and Transportation has nothing to report this evening, but the Traffic Study Commission will be meeting this Thursday at 6 p.m. Thank you.
Councilor Conti. But Rick, just wait a half a second till my printer. Oh, you can start, but I'm printing a preamble.
Yeah, I had the same problem. I got one motion and I didn't have the other one. So I'm going to cobble it back together.
Richard, you want me to share my screen?
For the second motion,
Okay.
I've got the first one. So reporting for capital improvements to city development, I move to adopt the following emergency preamble. That the Attleboro Municipal Council vote to take action as provided in City Charter, Section 2.2-9B, regarding the emergency of time constraints for the design portion of the fire department roof replacement project scheduled to be completed in calendar year 2021. The original vote, number 11, on April 6, 2021, was for $50,000. The request is for $15,000 to be appropriated from account 1000-359-000 undesignated fund balance free cash general government to fund 3558 fire department roofs.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Councilor Conti.
So there was a letter from Scott LaChance to Paul Heroux regarding a follow-up to the chief's letter of December 29, 2020 and dated March 12, 2021. The Municipal Building Commission has recommended that we execute a contract with CBI Consultant as the architect on the project, but the estimate of the expense was too low. I want to assure my fellow councilors that the Building Commission fully vets these requests for quotes. So I think there's some assurances there that this is simply a matter of underestimating what this is going to cost from the very beginning. I'm not happy that it's $65,000 instead of $50,000, just like you. However, we got to get the roof done. We want to get the roof done this fiscal year. And maybe it's the accelerated time frame that has cost the additional money, but now we have the money. Now's the time to get the roof done. And that completes my comments.
Thank you. Any additional comments on the emergency preamble? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Council Holmes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yeah.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. I move to approve the following request as an emergency measure to appropriate $15,000 as additional funding from account 1-000-359000 undesignated fund balance of free cash general government to fund 3558 fire department roofs to complete the design portion of the replacement project in calendar year 2021.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's in order, Councilor Conti.
I don't think there's anything additional to say.
I would agree. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Councilor DeSimone.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
So, Mr. President, I just got an email from Virginia saying that she sent it to me at 4:08, but I did not get any email from Virginia at 4:08. So I'm going to try to cobble together a move to adopt an emergency preamble. Let me try it, okay?
For which one, Richard?
The 500,000.
The 500,000 wasn't an emergency.
No, that's not an emergency.
Oh, okay, good.
So
Then
you're
that concludes the business that the Capital Improvements and City Development Committee has to bring you before this evening. We look forward to a meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Let me just make sure. Yeah, that was not, that has to be before June 30th, but not as an emergency.
Thank
President
you. I
Cooper,
was panicking.
President
Yeah.
Cooper, forgive the interjection. I neglected to ask for a meeting, a committee meeting at the next available time, and I would hereby like to do so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Noted, we will do that. Thank you. Councilor Waterman.
Yes. Reporting from the Personnel, Veterans, and Human Services Committee from the docket of May 18th, 2021. We have one motion. I move to amend Article 4, Section 1 of the Personnel Rules and Regulations for exempt and unrepresented employees of the City of Attleboro by adding Juneteenth as a listed legal holiday.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Councilor Waterman, any additional comments?
I believe it was explained adequately last week. Juneteenth, as I briefly said, celebrates, it's a state holiday now, and it celebrates the emancipation of slaves in Galveston, Texas, 2 months after the Civil War really ended.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Councilor Holmes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
And that concludes the business of the Personnel, Veterans, and Human Services Committee. I'll call for the next committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice President Jackson.
Thank you, President Cooper. Reporting for the Public Works Committee from the docket of May 18th, 21. I move to transfer a total of $14,293.84 into account Recreation Ousley Field renovation from the accounts as follows: $5,360 from salary and wages account, $566.34 from the salary program assistance account, $1,300 from the salary seasonal account, $3,200 from the overtime account, $367.50 from the licenses account, and $3,500 from the repair of irrigation account.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Delissio.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Councilor Jackson.
Thank you. We did discuss this last week. Owsley Field, as I explained last week, is the one that's across from Finberg School, just about going into Seekonk. And the softball players were using that quite a bit back in the day. They've slowed down quite a bit. And he has found the need that for more youth sports to be able to have extra fields to play on. So he has used his innovation to figure out how to create better fields for our youth, as always.
Thank you, Vice President Jackson. Any additional questions or comments? Roll call vote is in order, and we'll begin with Councilor DeSimone.
Mr. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio,
Yes.
oh, I'm sorry, Mr.
Sure.
Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes,
10 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. That concludes the business for the Public Works Committee this evening. But I would like to call for a committee meeting at the appropriate time next week.
Councilor Delicio.
Thank you. First off, there's no business for public safety and emergency management tonight, and I'd like to call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time. Now reporting for budget and appropriations from the docket of May 18th, 2021. I move to approve the request of the mayor to return the balance of unused project funds in the amount of $17,918.71 to the Sidewalk Stabilization Fund for future appropriations by appropriating $17,918.71 from account Sidewalk Fund Other Financing Uses to account Sidewalk Stabilization Fund Other Financing Sources.
Second.
Second. Oops.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional comments?
You know, we discussed this earlier tonight. It's pretty self-explanatory, just rerouting unused funds.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote. Councilor Holmes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes,
10 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. Before I adjourn, I just want to quickly recap what the budget process is going to be. It looks like initially we were going to do 2 Saturdays. As it turns out, that didn't work for a lot of the department heads. So in the spirit of collaboration, we've moved the meetings. We're going to do it in 1 week, June 7th through the 10th, 5:30 to about 7:30. Could go as long as 8 o'clock. It's going to be a gauntlet of a week. I'm also calling for a meeting on June 14th, just to clear up anything. And President Cooper, with the hopes of being able to build the budget on the 15th, which gives us enough time in case there's anything that comes up last minute.
Thank you. I don't know. Steve, can you mute?
I'm sorry, the mic.
I think we'll get some feedback from you. There we go. All right, Councilor Delicio, thank you. I just want to make sure that, did you have something scheduled for the 8th?
The 8th is the public hearing for the budget, which we'll vote out on the 1st.
Okay,
We voted out of committee
perfect.
tonight.
Thank you.
Bring it in front of- Yep, of course.
Thank you, thank you.
And public hearing, there might be 2 meetings that night. Virginia and I are finalizing the schedule, but I really need to thank Virginia for all of the work she put on this schedule, working with the department heads. Really, Virginia, thank you for that. I know it's no small task. So looking forward to another smooth, efficient budget season like we've had the last several. That
Thank
being said, oh, sorry, President Cooper.
No, I just thank you both for putting the schedule together, and I don't know how many emails I got. I lost track on it, but I do have the final schedule, and so thank you for that. And you should all the councilors should have that as well. And if you could just let Virginia know if you're not going to attend one of those meetings, so she can share that with Jay, just especially the committee meeting, especially the committee members. But also other counselors, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you for those words, President Cooper. And I think, we have an opportunity where we had the budget presented last week. We have 45 days from last Tuesday. If you have questions, I wanted to give people enough time to absorb the budget, take a look at it. If you have questions for the committee, please feel free to send them through Virginia to the Budget and Appropriations Committee, and we'll make sure we address them at the time. That being said, I would like to call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Counselor Kovas.
Thank you. Reporting for Zoning and Land Use Committee from the docket of March 16th, 2021. I move to approve the layout of Grace Lane as a public way, length of 615.82 feet from Station 0 to Station 6 plus 15.82, and accept said way in any related drainage, water, or sewer facilities or easements, all as shown on a plan and profile entitled Street Acceptance Plan of Grace Lane in Attleboro, Massachusetts, dated February 8th, 2017, prepared by Christopher D. Yarworth, PLS, which plan and profile have been deemed satisfactory to the Superintendent of Public Works.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Counselor Kovas.
So we discussed this last week. It has the support of the Planning Department, Gary Ration. I encourage everyone to support it.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? A roll call vote will begin with Counselor DeSimone.
Mr. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
From the docket of March 16th, 2021, I move to approve the layout of a portion of Simpson Ave as a public way, length of 165.71 feet from Station 0 to Station 1 plus 65.71, and accept said way in any related drainage, water, or sewer facilities or easements, all as shown on a plan and profile entitled Street Acceptance Plan for Land in Attleboro, Massachusetts, dated September 19th, 2019, and revised through December 28th, 2020, prepared by Daniel R. Campbell, PE, and James W. Nieva, PLS, which plan and profile have been deemed satisfactory to the Superintendent of Public Works.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional comment?
Encourage everyone to support this as well.
Being none, a roll call vote will begin with Counselor Holmes.
Counselor who? I'm sorry.
Holmes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
Did I
You
miss somebody?
skipped
there?
me. You missed me.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays. Sorry about that.
Thank you. Motion passes.
I moved my chair and I can't. Sorry.
That concludes the business for the Zoning and Land Use Committee, and I call for committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Counselor Dolan.
License Committee has no business this evening, and I'd like to call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time, please.
Thank you. Counselor Reynolds.
Thank you. Reporting for City Property and Claims Committee from the docket of May 18th, 2021. I move to declare surplus and available for disposition the following police equipment. I have 3 Glock 22 Gen 4s. They're all 40 calibers, and I read the serial numbers last Tuesday. Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional questions or comments?
No, they're no longer able to be used within the department.
Thank you. Roll call vote will begin with Counselor DeSimone.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Ms. Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
From the docket of May 18th, 2021, I move to declare surplus and available for disposition the following Water Department equipment. A Toshiba eStudio 306 copier. I read off the model and serial number last week. The condition is poor.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional comments or questions?
No, I have none.
Thank you. Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Council Holmes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
yes,
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes,
10 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. Motion
Sorry, President Cooper. That is all the Business, City Property and Claims Committee has this evening, but I would like to call a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Great, thank you. Councilor Holmes.
Thank you. Reporting for Ordinance, Election, and Legislative Matters Committee from the docket of September 22nd, 2020. I move to insert the following as proposed changes to Chapter 7, Health Department of the revised ordinance of the City of Attleboro, Section 7-12, Styrofoam Food Container Waste Reduction.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional comments, Councilor Holmes?
We discussed it during committee. We had adjusted the effective date, and that was the only amendment that was made.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Councilor DeSimone.
So I'm going to vote in support of this ordinance. I asked the rest of the council to do so. I think that this is yet another important piece of policy changes to help Attleboro become a more green community, to help the environment, to help ourselves. I think 8 months pending. It's been pending for a while. I look forward to it being passed. And I think it's in everybody's best interest as people, as residents, as consumers, to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, Councilor Dolan.
I just want to say I second what Councilor DeSimone said, and I hope everybody will vote in favor of this.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Councilor Conti.
So to illustrate of how things can change over the course of a lifetime, when I was a younger man working in the advertising industry, one of my clients was American Hearst Corporation out of Leominster. And they were introducing into the American market expandable polystyrene, which is what this styrofoam product is. Styrofoam is a trade name. And so my job as an advertising account executive in my 30s was to educate the marketplace of the advantages of this terrific product, which now is not so terrific. We knew after I got out of advertising, I think in the 1990s, that the benzene that's in expanded polystyrene, which is what makes the pellets expand, was harmful to everybody, and that the benzene never actually fully dissipates. So I will be supporting this measure wholeheartedly, with great regret that I was one of the people in America that actually proliferated the product. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Councilor DeSimone.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
yes,
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yeah.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes,
10 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. From the docket of September 22nd, 2020, I move to insert the following as proposed changes to Chapter 7 Health Department of the revised ordinance of the City of Attleboro, Section 7-13 Plastic Food Container Waste Reduction.
Second.
Just flip the page here.
Who was that second?
Councilor
DeSimone.
DeSimone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional comments? Councilor Holmes.
Thank you. So again, we changed the date on this. And I think that there were some individuals that had concerns about this one last week. I have a lot of mixed feelings about some of this because I do feel like a lot of big industries are the ones that are impacting the environment, and we're kind of regulating things that sometimes I question how effective it's really going to be. So that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor DeSimone.
Thank you, President Cooper. For the same reasons previously mentioned, I also support this one, but there's a couple of additional points I'd like to make. I think Jeremy Stahl mentioned last week that local receipts, I know restaurants are hurting, a lot of business have been hurting in the pandemic, but I'm pretty sure if I recollect correctly, he said that local receipts from restaurants are doing fairly decent in light of the considerations, which I'm glad to hear. And things are now opening up, so business is going to improve. I support this because I think it's in fact late. It's 2021. I think it's time for Attleboro to get on board. I like where we're headed going green. And I think we can either get on board or, be early to the party or be late, because I think the Commonwealth, the rest of the country and the world is in fact heading this way. There's alternative containers these days, 2 plastic containers. It's been pending for 8 months. We postponed the effective date. I think that's more than fair, and I appreciate the amendment I think that Councilor Jackson made last week. And to me, this isn't political. We're not saving the earth. It's not overreach. It's not a question of liberty or freedom, not to put it perhaps too dramatically, but I view these changes and everything else that we've already done, all the good work we've already done in regard to the environment. We're not saving the earth. The earth is not ours to save. This is about saving ourselves, saving the future for our children and our children's children. And perhaps it sounds melodramatic, but I don't think it is. I think the damage has been done, and we need to start getting ourselves in check and living as if we care about our predecessors and our fellow human beings on the planet. So for all those reasons, I support this, and I appreciate the spirit with which the mayor has submitted these. I think it's good for Attleboro as well. It may attract new people to the community who think like this, who appreciate what we're doing. So I think it's yet another kind of economic development incentive. I just don't see that it hurts us in any meaningful way. So I would ask you all respectfully to support this.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Councilor Dolan.
Thank you. I'll also be supporting this, and I understand Councilor Holmes' comment as far as the larger corporations. Clearly, they produce a lot more, but I think you have to start somewhere, and if you start locally, local places buy from big corporations, and eventually, hopefully, it'll catch on, and they'll stop making the changes as well. So I will definitely be supporting this, and I hope others will too. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Council Waterman.
I will also be supporting this. As I go up and down our streets on my bike or walking, I see our streets littered with plastic, and that is just no good for the environment. And there is another alternative for our restaurants to follow if they choose for take-home food. And so, thank you. I'll be supporting it.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Council Holmes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
No.
no, okay. Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
No.
Mr. Delicio,
No,
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
President Cooper.
No.
Okay, we've got 6 yeas and 4 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you. From the docket of March 17, 2020, I move to approve the following amendments to section 10-4 of the revised ordinance of the city of Attleboro, delete in its entirety and replace with the following. 10-4.18 permanent speed humps, speed cushions.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any comments, Councilor Holmes?
Thank you. This, the only amendment that we made during committee last week had to do with the placement, and I believe it was so it's C placement and it's section A. So we just Counselor DeSimone asked for the definitions to be a little bit clarified. I thought that that was and it did pass, a nice addition to this. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Councilor DeSimone.
Thank you, President Cooper. So as chair of the Traffic and Transportation Committee and a member of the Traffic Study Commission, I'm happy that this is finally before us. I surely hope you all support it. Speed, everywhere you look, speeding is increased. It was on the increase before the pandemic. It has only increased since the pandemic for reasons which I'm very, very curious about. But nonetheless, it's in fact increasing. We get, I'm sure you hear from your constituents about it. And although this but it's one small piece, I think there are places in which these speed humps will be very, very helpful. So I hope you all support this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Councilor DeSimone, I believe.
Yes, I think you're right. Ms.
Yes.
DeSimone,
I'm sorry, yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes.
10 yeas, 0 nays.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. That concludes the business this evening, and I'll call for a committee meeting at the next appropriate time.
Thank you. Councilor Conti.
Thank you, Mr. President. Reporting for the Jubilant and Celebratory Special Committee on Rules and Procedure from the docket of April 28th, 2020, I move to approve the revised Attleboro Municipal Council Rules and Procedures 2021 edition with the effective date of June 15th, 2021.
Second.
I wanted to second that one.
As did I, yeah.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional comments, Councilor Conti?
Yes, truly jubilant and truly celebratory. I do not think that this is accurate, that it's April 28th, 2020. I believe it's 2018 that we began this, but it took a couple of years to get on the docket. And I think, I've been thinking about this all week. It's important that the council does this on occasion, just like I think it's important that the city review its charter on occasion, because things change and scholarship evolves and behavior changes and social mores change. And all those things happened to create this new rules and procedure. Major contributors were Jeremy Denley, a former city councilor, who came across the format matrix for motions that is now a centerpiece for the new rules and procedure. This single matrix, which was consolidated by Councilor Cobus into a meaningful one-page document, is going to be the guide, easy guide for all future councilors until the rules and procedures are once again revised. The initial motivation for me to become the chairman of the Rules and Procedures Review Committee was because I felt as though the council would benefit from a higher level of decor, that more professionalism would be a good thing for the body and would earn a higher degree of respect from the public. I stand with that even today, that as we have had to go to Zoom and have had to change our behavior, we've done well to maintain our professionalism. And I think that can improve even more when we return back to chambers. This new rules and procedures should last the council for a while. I certainly don't expect to have to do this again. And I don't think there's anything in there that is required for a massive overhaul like this was. And I think that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Conti. Any additional comments, Councilor DeSimone?
Yeah, I might be in the minority, but I actually enjoyed this work. I am a rules appreciator. I enjoyed working on it. Plus, it helped me learn as a new counselor. But I agree with Councilor Conti, that the way that we do things, the way that we conduct ourselves, the rules that we follow, and the consistency and faith with which we follow them are important not only for ourselves, but for the public, particularly in this time where for some, there's a decrease in the belief in democracy, the participation in our democracy. It sounds corny, I know, but this stuff matters to me, and I think it matters to other people. So I'm happy to be a part of this, happy to see it moving forward. And I continue to look forward to working with you all under these rules in the future. Thank you. That concludes my comments.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote will begin with Councillor Holmes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
okay, Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delicio,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes,
10 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. President. I expect that we will be dissolving the Special Committee on Rules and Procedures in the near future. And I thank the council for their support and past councilors who also had a contribution. And only wish that I was cut of the same mustard as Councilor DeSimone. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you. Moving right along to new business. For the first piece of new business, I would recognize Councillor Dolan.
Thank you. I have one item. I move to refer the following to the appropriate committee for study and recommendation to request the city of Attleboro to adopt MGL section 59 subsection 5 clause 41D senior exemption, which authorizes an annual increase in the income, gross receipts, and asset whole estate limits for exemptions granted to senior citizens. This would be need to be
Second.
accepted before
Do we have
July
a
1st.
second?
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Holmes. Councillor Dolan.
So we currently run under 41C, which we have maxed out any relief that we can give to seniors under this clause. So by accepting 41D, we would be able to increase the income limits by COLA every year, by the cost of living adjustment. I believe that from the assessor's office, Ms. Hobson had told me, I think the last time we voted that maxed out 41C was in 2007. I thought I had her email here, but I could be wrong, but it was a long time ago. So this would give us more wiggle room to help them out further. And again, it'll increase every year with the cost of living. And it gives us a little more room to make any other increases that we may see fit in the future.
Great, thank you. I saw Councillor Conti first, and then Cobus, and then Waterman.
So I'll be supporting this new business. The COLA increase this year is 1.4%. And the threshold is $33,000 and change. So if you can think of what it's like to try to get by in Attleboro on 33 grand for a family of two, trying to maintain a mortgage, you'll understand that 1.4% makes a difference. And this is a measure that I'd like to see adopted into an ongoing annual automatic COLA increase. And that concludes my comments.
Thank you, Councillor Conti. Councillor Cobus.
Yes, thank you. And so obviously supportive of this and have also spoke with the assessor about it. My question is more procedural. Once we vote on this, is this something that we'll also want to call for a public hearing sooner rather than later?
I'll let your committee do that when I assign it to you.
Sounds good. Okay.
Any addition? Oh, Councillor Waterman, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it may be premature for me to ask this, so let me know if it is. Either Councillor Dolan or Councillor Cobus, can you define the age that this would reach senior citizens, because there are different ages that where people qualify.
Well, let me see if I have that here. Well, 41. Hold on one second.
So I think that's the job of let's let the committee do that work.
That's
right?
fine.
Not get hung up on that right now. Any additional questions or comments about the introduction of the new business? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Councilor DeSimone.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Mr. Corbus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan.
Yeah.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes,
10 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. That matter will be referred to the Special Committee for Tax Abatement Review. And Councilor Kovas, technically there is no public hearing required for this, but your committee can make that determination with the input from the council on whether you think that's appropriate in this.
Perfect. Thank you, President Cooper.
Thank you. And for the next, I will recognize Councilor DeSimone.
Thank you. Thank you, President Cooper. I move to refer the following to the appropriate committee for study and recommendation. Amending Chapter 10 of the revised ordinances by adding Section 10-4.19, obstructing traffic and don't block the box intersections.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Councilor DeSimone.
Thank you, President Cooper. So this is something that I understand Chief Hegney and the mayor had been working on. I offered to the chief to kind of help with this. It pertains mostly to restaurants and businesses that are extremely popular, and so popular that their drive-through lines sometimes extend into the streets and not only block traffic, but cause various safety issues. And this would let the police regulate it more formally and also issue tickets. It increases the fine for this kind of behavior. So I think it's warranted in light of certain situations in the city. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, a roll call vote is required, and we'll begin with Councilor Holmes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Mr. Corbus,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
President Cooper.
Yes,
10 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. That matter will be referred to Transportation and Traffic Committee, and DeSimone, would you also like to refer that to Traffic Study?
Yes, please, President Cooper.
Thank you. And the next piece of new business is also Councilor DeSimone.
Thank you, President Cooper. I move to refer the following to the appropriate committee for study and recommendation. Amending Chapter 10 of the revised ordinances by deleting in its entirety Section 10-5.13, limited for commercial vehicles and trailers, and replacing it with the suggested amendments, which I had prepared but aren't included in this.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Any additional comments, Councilor DeSimone?
Yes, President Cooper, thank you. So this started with a concern from a constituent about the parking of a tow truck in a residential driveway. It led to discussions with myself, Chief Hegney, Gary Rajan, and Bill McDonough. And the proposed ordinance that I put forth for discussion and review does two things. It more clearly defines commercial vehicles and more clearly delineates the prohibitions and allowances, if you will, for where and when they can park in the city. It also specifically exempts from those prohibitions tow trucks that are on duty by agreement with the city to provide emergency services. And if passed, it would, if included in a past amendment, would let those tow trucks park in the residential driveways of the operator. So it does two things, but but that's what it's proposing.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Seeing none, a roll call will begin with Councilor DeSimone.
Mr. DeSimone,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes,
10 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. That matter will also go to Transportation and Traffic Committee, and Councilor DeSimone, should that also be referred to Traffic Study?
Yes, President Cooper, thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the new business for this evening. And there is no old business. Before we adjourn, we are going to post and have a special meeting for June 8th for the budget public hearing. Please come pick up or at least acknowledge the special meeting notice. So the police are coming to your house, and that's a colossal waste of police resource. So make sure you do it and you acknowledge it and pick up the notice. I think that's it for notices from me. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Motion is in order. Roll call vote will begin with, I put my paper on the side, I don't know.
Councilor Holmes,
Councilor Holmes.
Ms. Holmes,
Yes.
Ms. Reynolds,
Yes.
Ms. Dolan,
Yes.
Mr. Cobus,
Yes.
Mr. Delissio,
Yes.
Vice President Jackson,
Yes.
Mr. Waterman,
Yes.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
Ms. DeSimone,
Yes.
President Cooper,
Yes,
10 yeas, 0 nays.
thank you. Motion passes. We are adjourned 8:12. Good night.
Good night.
Night, everybody.